Hello and welcome to Godsmarts. I'm Keith Campbell, an independent bishop of the Home Temple, and today I wanted to start by giving you a brief update about my personal situation. As some of you may know from following my posts, I was looking for work and just recently found a full-time job. This is a database designer and administrator job for an equity company, and very happy with it. So those of you who were sending prayers or good wishes, I appreciate it. And now we'll have the time to get back to business here. Okay, now first things first, I would like to comment a little bit about my message last time, which, if you remember, was that the historical reality of Jesus or the Gospels is not as important as their spiritual reality. Now, a number of folks pointed out to me, Bishop Kaiser for one, that when it finally comes down to it, the actual historical evidence for the existence of Jesus is actually quite strong. And that's very true. In fact, I was just reading a book the other day by Bart Ehrman, and it's titled, "Did Jesus Exist? The Historical Argument for Jesus of Nazareth." Now, for those of you not familiar with Bart Ehrman, he's the Distinguished Professor of Religious Studies at the University of North Carolina. He's the author of more than 25 books on the New Testament, such as Misquoting Jesus, Lost Christianities, a number of popular books as well as scholastic ones. And he's not the sort of person that you would expect to make apologies for Jesus out of faith. So I think his book is extremely well put together in terms of the arguments for the historicity of Jesus. So Ehrman goes over the historical writings, the Gospels, and all the many sources that went into the Gospels, the epistles of Paul, and basically comes to the conclusion that although a lot of things may have been layered onto the traditions of Jesus, although a lot of misinterpretation may have gone into the traditions of Jesus, Jesus himself clearly existed in history. And if Ehrman tells you that, then you can pretty much count on it, that that is the majority position. And that anybody who is going to tell you that Jesus was fictitious or completely a myth is way out on a limb historically. So let's put that to bed. Yes, Jesus did exist historically, but the Bible isn't necessarily the complete message that he taught. So let me move along to an issue I wanted to cover today, and that is the compatibility of faith and doubts. Now, to a lot of people, this may sound like a complete contradiction. Isn't doubt the very opposite of faith? And to a modern Christian understanding of faith, yes. But to Jesus' original understanding of faith, let's remember that the original Hebrew or Aramaic understanding of the word faith was a word that meant faithfulness to a teaching. It meant a trust in God. It did not mean to cling tenaciously to our little dogma or doctrine. That's the very opposite of faith. That's fear, is what that is. Now, what we need to do is come to the point where we trust God enough that we understand that the little details of dogma or doctrine may come and go, but our trust in God remains, and our faithfulness to God remains. And so doubts can be a very healthy thing in a life of faith. And the more doubts we have, the more we have an opportunity to trust God for resolving them. And so I think it's perfectly fine to have doubts about the things that we are faithful to, in other words, to believe and trust in God, but to hold tentative ideas about the Bible or a religious leader or some other such thing as that. It's perfectly fine to have doubts about those things. In fact, if we don't doubt those things, we're really placing our faith in human institutions and not directly in God. And that is a tragedy, because that will lead us astray. That is not faith, that is an obstacle to faith. And so I'd like to leave you with that and ask you to consider the things that you are faithful to and the things that you are doubting, and to encourage your doubts to have a safe home under the umbrella of your faith. Okay, I'll see you next time. This is Keith Campbell. Until later.